Fala galera, Análise Games, trazendo aqui mais um vídeo informativo para falar para vocês que acaba de ser lançado o gameplay de Dayz Standalone. Sim, acaba de ser lançado. Dayz Standalone está muito perto de lançar o alpha, galera, para todos nós, nossa alegria, né? O Dayz Standalone vai mudar muita coisa do que o mod do Dayz. Falar uma coisa rápida para vocês aqui, que o Dayz Standalone vai ser ter zumbis femininos, vai ter uma física diferente do Arma 2, vai ter também novas armas, novos carros, um sistema de craft, como vocês vão poder ver no vídeo. Eu não vou falar tudo, que vocês vão olhar o vídeo e vão me dizer aí nos comentários, beleza? Acabar de vocês aqui, para acabar o vídeo, para vocês verem o gameplay, que o nosso canal Análise Games conseguiu 520 inscritos nesse exato momento que eu acabei de olhar. Então, dou muito obrigado a todos e vou ver se eu faço um vídeo especial de 500 ou se não de 1000, né? Obrigado a todos aí. Então ficamos com o gameplay de Dayz Standalone, que está muito perto de ser lançado, galera. Valeu, fui.
Hello everyone and welcome to our dev blog reviewing the milestone that ended in July. So this milestone, the idea is to prepare and see if we can actually release a alpha based on this milestone, and the results were no. And so what I'm going to cover now, while we've got some gameplay going on in the background, is the reasons behind that. A little bit more detail will be put on the dev blog in terms of some words, but here's a overview. So the build is not ready for release, so we have now moved on to pushing forward to our next milestone and working on the issues that were presented with what we'd worked on in July. So I guess the biggest piece of work that's remaining for us is what we're calling the multiplayer network bubble. So what this means is that clients receive updates that are within the vicinity of them. At the moment in Arma you receive updates from everything that occurs on the map. That works out very well for the Arma system, but it doesn't work out so well for Dayz, where we have hundreds of thousands of items and thousands of zombies on the map and lots of players doing lots of complex little interactions. So what that means is, as the player's moving around, they're only getting the updates that are close to them. This gives us good performance gains, It gives us a lot more security in terms of dealing with hacking and things like that, because there's limited data available to the clients. That has been programmed to be developed as of this sprint that's coming up for us now. So we'll have more report on the progress of that in the next dev blog. Another thing we've been working on is finalising the injury and infection system. So we had a rudimentary system already implemented, and based on testing for that for both performance and functionality reasons, that's actually being redeveloped. We've got a new animation tree for injured players, which you will have seen in the little preview that occurred before and we're really excited about that, and I think that's another area of development that's going to carry on. But the aspects of this aren't going to block us from releasing the alpha, but we will be continuing with development on that and reporting in the next dev blog. Another area of development for us has been the attachment system and how that links in with our rifle that we've chosen, which is the M4. So we really want to finish all aspects of customization for the M4, all functionality to a high level of quality. This provides us a benchmark weapon against which we can implement all other weapons. The artists, some people might have seen on the forums, have been really busy coming up with lots of new styles of weapons and things like that. We're just focusing on the M4 now. We're going to add in all the functionality for the suppressor, different sights, extended mags, all this kinds of stuff, so that we have this excellent benchmark. Custom animations, custom muzzle flashes, everything per weapon, so that we really make them shine. Because we think that weapons are your levels in DayZ, so they're very important, and we want them to really reflect that. A further area of work has been damage and bleeding. So the damage system is being reworked for both performance and functionality to accommodate the needs of DayZ. There's a new bleeding system, quite similar at the moment to the old system. However, it actually bleeds from the exact point that you're shot at and animates correctly. So we think that's quite a cool new addition. At the moment, it's not working correctly in the multiplayer dedicated server, so that's something that we do want to have finished before we can push the alpha out. The report on the progress of this will be in the next dev blog. One big area of development has been database and security metrics and things like that. So we're redeveloping the loot spawn system to be central server managed, and we're also preparing the database for a wide release. You know, it's got to handle a large number of players and connections. So that's receiving a significant area of development as well. Finally, I guess one of our biggest areas of development beyond all this is stability, and this has been greatly improved in the last weeks, and I'm sure those of you who've had a chance to talk to the people who've been testing, they will tell you the same thing. We've still got some way to go to accommodate the player levels that we feel is necessary for useful feedback, and I guess that's kind of the most important point to make in this development blog. Everybody really wants it to be released, and you know, we're really happy with how it's starting to look, but until we cover off on the very basic foundations of it, there's just nothing there to play. There's nothing there to really enjoy. We feel we're very close to that, but we want to take the time that's necessary to deliver on that. And that is obviously frustrating for everyone involved, both on the project team and as well as people wanting to play it. But really, without these things, it's just not possible. So we really appreciate people's patience with that. And I'll be posting more detail and text on the dev blog over the weekend as well, once I've had a chance to sleep. So we hope you enjoyed this little teaser, and we're going to finish off the development blog with some interviews with some of the staff so you can hear how things are going on. Thanks very much for tuning in.
Hi Evan, welcome again to the developers blog. So what are you currently working on at the moment?
I should stress that I'm not there alone working on channels. It's a collaborative effort of me and Senshi, and currently we've started making that really big thing. It's been hinted, we've been talking about that for quite a long time, almost a year. So in the extent of original channels, we are trying to bring more content. So instead of some border forests, which were boring, monotonous, we are coming with a real landscape, so we have obtained the new aerial photos. We are currently working on the road network, on the basics of the design, and mainly on the forests, which still constitute about like 40 or 50% of the redesigned area.
So what else do you expect to be in the northern expansion?
Well, we are planning to have there some rock formations. If you've seen our latest development blog or the photos from the visit to Chernarus, we have visited the nice sandstone rocks, so we took some inspirations there. Certainly plenty of new cities, villages. Hopefully we will expand the railway network as well. It's lots of exciting things, and above all, we expect that there will be something new to explore, and also some parts in the original Chernarus which aren't really visited in Dayz, because there's just nothing beyond them. Will get some more attention from the players.
So what kind of new assets are we looking at? You know, what buildings should we expect? What kind of rocks, trees? What's going to be new?
We are trying to be quite conservative because the data sets we have at hand are quite big already, but we are mainly trying to come up with something which would be functional. So one of the things I would really like to try would be some better way to display or to represent small water bodies in the landscape, especially the streams. So having ponds more frequent so that players can get some dirty water, fill in their canteens. This can be very nice for the gameplay. Same goes for the small police stations. In the region like Northern Chernarus, it would be quite logical to have police station almost every bigger village, and of course police have weapons, and they have better gear, they have some uniforms, equipments, and we are trying to think along the lines of what could be useful for Dayz. Same goes for small health centers, which are quite common in the Czech countryside. So you have bigger village, there's a health center which has fairly good equipment. So instead of, for example, having to set back to Chernogorsk if you're in need of some special supplies, you can also go somewhere else. So I hope decentralizing places where you can get these special assets can lead to a more variegated gameplay, just to remove the stereotypes which are associated to the way the Chernarus is laid out.
So how far do we expect this to be, the northern expansion to be along when we look for a release? You know, what are we expecting to see in there in the first versions? We have big ambitions, that's for sure. So it means that it will take at least a month to get something which would be acceptable. Of course, we are talking about the basic landscape without any villages, which require some big amount of work. But let's say that after 1 month's work we would be able to deliver terrain which would be more or less final in terms of vegetation, road network, and some most basic features, rocks. Of course, then we will need to design all the villages, oversee the process of creation of those new buildings. It's actually plenty of work, so I expect it can be another 3 months minimum. So how often can we expect map updates with when the standalone comes out in the alpha?
Well, from my own Dayz experience, I remember that I was always quite unhappy when my position has been reset because of some critical gameplay feature was introduced. Of course, if we would be updating terrain, the safest option would be to reset everyone's position to some initial starting location on the coastline, especially for the groups who tend to play together and set up camps on servers, etc. It might be very disturbing, so I suppose that we will need some
a really good reason to update the map and force people to experience such a break in the gameplay. So definitely it will be in the bigger batches. So for example, public alpha can contain the map without any towns and villages, and next update after a few months can contain these. If we will be making some more enhancements, it can be another 3 or 6 months. We would like to keep journals alive and respond to people's needs, ideas, and also to fulfill some of our ambitions and dreams. But I think we should not overdo it with bothering players and forcing them to restart too often.
So just to finish off then, so what are you most looking forward to with the expansion?
Well, I'm looking forward to the moment when I would just go to some village on the north, and instead of some generic hills, I'll see that inviting landscape, and I'll for the first time try to explore it proper.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Okay, well, let me introduce Honza Absalon. I like his nickname, Absolute. Virgin Russian. And what we have here is a little bus station ticket office, and it's one of the real artifacts from the real life journals. As we can see on the monitor, which is currently obscured by Honza, we also have the reference for those, and we are trying to recreate this as faithful to the original as possible. But of course, we will not put it just in a single location, but with this ticket office, we can build, for example, a bigger coach station in downtown Chernogorsk or in the bigger cities, because that's what I always like to do and what I would like to promote in journals for DayZ. Those real-life infrastructures we all know, like bus stations, arranged in a realistic pattern, so that we will probably figure out where the particular lines were going. Maybe we can take a look in the interior, if it's possible, or just show some details. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we were setting off from this place to trips around. Well, the interior is pretty simplistic, but it's still lacking some of the maps, I suppose.
Cool, awesome.